Hi, Cromwell here. So a couple of weeks ago, I took a leap of faith. I came onto this microphone and I spoke about emotional stuff. Not knowing what to expect, aside from conversations that I had with a friend and my own personal experience. But I was truly shocked with just how much I was right and how deeply it resonated with a lot of people. That episode was tagged, "Are You Hurting?" And today we'll be continuing from that conversation with what I believe to be the first step in the journey to truly heal the right way. This episode comes from a place of experience, healthy wisdom from conversations and other people's experience. As always, it will be worth your time, it will be authentic, it will be profound, and you will have a good time. So with that said, I'm David Cromwell, and I believe in the virality of thoughts and the power of conversations to shape how we live for the better. This space is where those conversations happen and a home for people who are on a journey to truly live the way we're created to. Welcome to your safe space. Welcome to Cromwell's Harbor. All right. So how am I doing? So I think one of them is a bit of top secret and I'll share when I can. But it's pretty good news, so congratulations to me. Yeah. But I'll just speak from the heart with this. Yeah, another important thing. I think for me, I've just been shocked with just how much I've seen myself change, or how much I've seen it's so easy to change. So I'm currently in a phase. I've always been a person who has been like quite opinionated. I'm also quite clear-cut on things that I wanted to do. And to a large extent, like those things have never changed about me. But I think this phase of life where I'm having to make like important decisions, it's just really shocking just how much like your environment and the many options that you possibly could do can actually get to you. And I think maybe I'm entering into another phase of adulting that maybe I'd not experienced before, but I'm starting to in a deeper way. I think one of them that really shocked me is like my career. So if you had asked me earlier, like I always thought I was this kind of person, strategy, analytics, this kind of thing that I really enjoyed. And so over time, like I got the opportunity to be a bit more, would I say, infrastructure, finance, business-ish. And strangely so, I've loved it. And sometimes I just wonder to myself that like, man, like everything that it felt like, there are some things I think I can never like. But I think I'm just shocked at the things that I've started to like. And it's like where is the line? I don't know, I get scared that like are there things that I might one day start liking that I don't know that I will. Obviously, like when it comes to things around morals or values, I think I hold them to a very strong degree. So those things will never change. But I think it just sometimes can be a bit interesting how, things can be appealing and it sometimes can make decisions harder because you fully well know that you can adapt or enjoy either side of any decision, right? So I think it's been a bit interesting. I guess it's going to be a part of maturing for me where I would strengthen myself in these areas. But let's see how that turns. But that's just me being real, right? Another thing as well is that I'm in that phase of life where they say that a man has found a flower in a garden and wants to pluck. So, and I think I'm just realizing just how clueless I was about a lot of things in this area. I never knew there were multiple rings. I thought the engagement ring was a ring. I think it was when I said checking. I saw a friend of mine checking like rings and saying that, oh, this is the dream ring that she wanted. And I started realizing, why are there three? Like, what's happening here? Like, does she meant to put one in her ear? Like, what's happening? And so, like, she said that, oh, this is the engagement ring. This is the wedding ring. I'm like, oh, wow, there are multiple. And then that clicked that's true. How does, like, because he gives her a ring in the engagement. So what exactly happens on that day? Like, is it that she gives him back the day before and then he wears it on her at the ceremony? And that's when I realized that, man, I don't have a clue how this thing works. Actually, there are multiple rings. There are. So yeah, one of many things. I think another one would have to be, would I say discovering what ministry is? Like beyond the templates and the stereotypes that, or the norms or the very popular expressions of ministry. Like I think getting to the heart of what it means to serve people with your gift, serve people on their journey to become more like Christ, and serving in very not so platformish locations, right? like serving my family, my girlfriend, serving my friends, your prayer community, and just pouring your entire heart into helping people on that journey of being molded into God's design for their lives. And it strips you down to the core of what ministry is and gives you a true love for people. And I think that's where I've been. There's been a lot of shedding off of stuff because you don't realize just how much you feel validated in your calling when it feels like you can attract a following. But when you're in that process of either starting off, or if your call is actually to like lead a small group of people, when you're in that place, it truly it exposes parts of you and it gives you an opportunity to truly grow. And I feel like that's a season that I feel like I'm in, and it's been quite fun. It's been quite fun. It has even given me a kind of contentment that I didn't know I could have. Like, just like, if one person shows up, I pour my entire heart. If 10,000 people show up, I pour my entire heart. Nothing changes, right? So yeah, I don't know how we can summarize all of those things, but then that's where I am. And so, having the episodes introduce or start with this kind of intros is a bit of an emotional thing for me because it's vulnerable to start it. So when you start off, you don't really have the opportunity to have a lot of people's time. So I could literally watch the analytics and see that, okay, maybe longer episodes, some people drop off at particular points. And so like when you see those kind of things, you can start to think like, oh man, should I make the episode shorter? Should I get to the point quicker so people can hear the message, like hear what I'm trying to talk about? And I listened to someone's podcast and I realized, like, I think about half of the episodes are talking about herself. And I was just like, man, it was really nice actually hearing about how she's doing. And so I guess it's a vulnerable step for me because, like, coming here and actually talking about how I'm doing in a detail that, like, actually tells you how I'm doing. And that concern that people will be like, who be wants to go? Right. But I think I also got like something positive. Like, you guys actually cared about the fact that I got injured, right? I got a lot of messages on that. So that was really touching to me. So I realized that, I will take that bold step of faith and I'll tell you guys how I'm doing because I believe you guys care about me as a person beyond the conversations that we have here. So that's there. So I'm putting this back here. So the episodes will start with me telling you guys how I am doing. So that's how I am. Wish me well as I pluck. As I pluck. Oh man. All right. So moving on. So we talked about hurt 2 episodes ago, and it actually resonated with a lot of people. And I got messages from people saying that, yes, I'm hurting. I got messages from people saying how much they needed to hear it. And I think for me, one of the things that I really wanted to do with this episode was to, share? Let me read a couple, right? So this is from a friend that says, now to the second podcast on healing. It was deep. When you ask the question, are you still hurting? My honest answer is yes. I've started a healing journey mid last year. And honestly, I thought it was going to be quick and easy. But man, the deeper I go, the more I realize there's still so much to work on and to let go of. Still, I'm grateful I began this journey because I'm definitely not the same person I was last year or even earlier this year. I'm changing every time I put in the effort to grow. I could relate to so many of the things you described in the podcast, like people pleasing, anxiety, being overly independent. I still struggle with some of these things, but not like before. I'm getting better. Listening to the podcast on healing made me see how much progress I have actually made and how simply being aware of these things already moves you towards growth. Healing isn't easy, but it's definitely worth pursuing. On a lighter note, I think I might need therapy for some things, Sha. But part of me agrees, and another part is like, I'll be fine. Thank you so much for this podcast. I'm truly grateful for the way you speak to real issues with honesty and depth. It's a blessing, and I don't take it for granted. That's really sweet. That's really sweet. I probably should reply to many messages. No, we had a conversation afterwards, but no, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. Okay, so I will read another one from, that one that really touched me as well. Give me a second. So this was from a friend. He says, "This is amazing, David. I honestly listened to just 2 episodes since you resumed the pod, and I totally love them both. The last episode on healing was just so profound. I would have sent it to my mom because it's a conversation that needs to be had with her, but I could totally, both on a personal and a relational level, I think relates both on a personal and relational level when you talked about how hurting shapes how you view the world. Questionnaire. Will I recommend this podcast? Yes. Do I love it? Yes. That's really sweet. Another friend of mine reached out and was telling me that I loved the episode, and I think he was telling me about how he appreciated just how it really was. And he says his favorite part, interestingly, was that when I said that I don't want to force trauma on you, in case it doesn't resonate with you. And I think he just talked about how typically people will try to force healing on people, like everybody's broken and that kind of thing. But he liked the fact that I felt very unforced and free. And I think that was even the reason why he even listened. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your feedback. Thank you guys so much for your comments, for sharing. And let's continue with this journey. So please keep on sharing. Keep on sharing with people so we can have other people hear these amazing things and let them start conversations in families. That's the heart of why I started this thing. It's because of things like this. It's because of things like this. Please don't hold it back from people. Let's shape how people live for the better with these important conversations. I really do think that there's just a side of this podcast that is about having, so if I could say, there are many ways I could describe what we're doing here, right? And I think one of them is having MVP conversations about understated topics. So understated topics that never get to see the spotlight, but having them in a very deep and valuable way. I didn't frame that well, but you get the point, right? So please review so that the algorithm can show more people. Share with people, recommend to people that you feel like will be blessed by this. Let's continue this journey where people will follow us on this journey of truly living. All right, so back to the other thing I was going to talk about. So this episode is a little bit of an interesting one, and will be me sharing from a personal place how I walk through some of the toughest hurts that I have experienced, and it will be me sharing what I believe to be the first step with healing the right way. And I think that is to share. So what do I mean by sharing? I mean, do a giveaway. Do like a yard sale, open up your wardrobe, call people in your streets, give out clothes, give out food, give out old equipment, do some good, let off that steam, do good things and help other people on their own journey. And there's just a poetic thing about when you do that, that helps you on your own journey of inner healing. I am totally wrong. And that's not what I mean. So what I mean is this. I mean share, but share something else. Open up and let others in. So those dark closets in your heart where it's too painful, where it feels like you're alone, with trauma, with pain, with hurt, it's time to actually let others in. And this is how the journey of healing truly starts. Yeah. Now, this probably will get mixed reactions. Some people think that, man, this is quite basic. It's too simple. To others, it might be the hardest thing ever because opening up might be the most difficult thing for you. Or maybe you feel like as if you don't have anyone to share with, right? Or maybe you feel like as if you have shared so much and it feels like as if it didn't go anywhere and even made you more tired and frustrated. But hear me out and listen to the rest of this episode. I understand where you're coming from. I know what it's like because I've felt those things too. I've also had others also share with me that they've had those experiences too. But one thing that I've seen to hold true is this. Sharing works for everyone because that's how we're wired. So the problem many times is probably the environment of sharing or what we define as sharing. And so what do I mean? True sharing is more about hearts than it is about words. True sharing looks like an exchange or a dialogue or a contact of hearts than it is about exchanging words. Words are just a vehicle that help with communicating things that are within our hearts, but it's not the only way to share. Sharing is way more than that, right? So I'm going to paint a picture of what true sharing looks like, and I'll deal with my story. And that will be like the heart of this episode. And I'll share another experience, which would just wrap everything up together. So it's 2023, and I am genuinely confused. So I'm desperately searching for clarity because I just like experienced a very bad breakup that made me grasping for reality. So it was a really bad breakup, and there were many questions like, how could something so beautiful have this kind of ending? You know, could I have been a bit more in sets, 1 or 2, 3 things? I was even doubting my own kind of person, and it wasn't even because I did of the other person. It was more of like, you know, who am I? Like, was I this kind of person? Was that how I was? Like, if I was more this, would this have worked out? Maybe I was not this enough, right? And there were more less noble questions, right? Like, whose fault was it? Who was truly wrong? You know, what happened? And the questions were a lot. But the thing about when you ask a lot of questions is that you can give yourself your own answers. But if you're like me, it just ate at me, right? That I could give answers, but I just wanted to know what the truth was. So it's a bit concerning to me because I'm well acquainted with the fact that even people that rob banks have noble reasons for why they rob it. Like, I think I was reading a book that was talking about how I think they interviewed Al Capone, and when he got arrested, was very, very like frustrated that like he felt people were being ingrate. That he felt like he really saw himself like as a balancing act for the scale of society. So he felt like he was doing good by the things that he did, robberies, etc. He felt like he was doing good to balance the scale of society and to be good to people. That's why he did what he did. And so when I just opened up my eyes to realize that, like, if you isolate yourself with questions and start to give yourself answers, you can really convince yourself about things that are totally not true. We have an endless ability to deceive ourselves. And so the question that really ate at me at that point was, how am I sure this version of what I think happened or my processing of what happened is even real or even what happened? And this brings me to one of the most important reasons why you need to share. It's because your emotions sometimes even compromise your ability to remember clearly. When you're biased, have you ever heard people tell about, oh, this is not how things were back in my days? It's not because their days were nice. It's that they have come across something that is relatively uncomfortable, and it has created this bias through which they remember the past. But if they really sat down, so many times my mother does this to me. I always sit down and I remind her many times when she complains about her past. I'm like, yo, you complained about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, oh, that's true. The good old days were not as good as we think they were, right? And so our emotions have this way of being able to bias how we see. And so if you feel guilty, the narrative might only pick the things, the narrative of what you remember might be only the things that you did wrong. If you feel like you did right, you're probably remembering the story as the hero of the story. But what sharing does is that it helps another eye that is not emotional to think through it with you and helps you know what really happened, right? But that's just an aside. So this is something that I think I really admired about myself as well. And that was the fact that, like, in the space of, like, I don't like to patronize myself. I don't even like when people flatter me. If you tell me that I never did anything wrong, I'm 100% right. Like, I most likely run away from you than I gravitate to you. So I have a balance. I like people that love me, but I like people that tell me the truth. Love is in the truth, or truth is in love, right? So, because of that, like, I kind of embrace self-awareness. I kind of embrace, like, just being able to want to know what really happened. And I think another reason why I really love hearing the truth is for my own growth, right? I love being the best version of myself. I don't want to go around carrying character flaws, baggages that everybody can see, but then I'm just going ahead doing my own thing, right? So I really, really just like to enjoy life to the fullest. And I think part of that is me being the best me that I can possibly be. So every time I get the chance to really hear the truth about what happened and things that I could do better, what I really see from that is an opportunity for me to live in a fuller way, right? So I think about, okay, let's use like a simple analogy. If I had a weakness in anger or maybe malice or communication, and somebody steps on my toes, if I had sorted that character flaw, right, I could react with grace, smile, move on, maybe just my wife, take my kids to school, went on to have a good day. Compared to if I maybe held it in my chest or I got into a fight, then maybe I now went on to go and pour more of that aggression on another person, I fought on another person. If you contrast both people's experiences from the same thing, one person truly got to still have a good day, another person got to like had a wrecked day. I might even spill into like a week or a month or even years after, right? So, and all of that, the difference in how both of them experienced those things was as a result of just whether one person had a character flaw, whether another did not, right? And so personally, just from even a stance, this is not even to be deep. Just enjoy your own life. Right? Just enjoy your own life. I always enjoy and I always take on opportunities to grow because I just feel like it helps me live better. So back to the story, right? So at that point, I really, like, I didn't want to trust my own self to process it because I could easily be feeling guilty, right? And be thinking that, oh man, this is what you did. Or I could be feeling like the hero and be deceiving myself through the story as well. So what I did was I started to speak to people. And not every conversation was helpful, I'll be very honest with you. God help our generation. Because, how can I be pouring up my heart to you and you're on IG? Or I can even hear the story posts from WhatsApp that you're swiping through. As you're swiping through, I can hear the terrible things. And honestly, like I feel like that it really hurts, but that's story for another day, really. But there were conversations that healed me the most. And the conversations were the ones that I had with who is my girlfriend now, but at that time was just my friend. A guy named Charles and another person named Yarrow, right? And like I still can remember the conversations like it was yesterday. All of them were actually physical. You probably don't even know just how much it went a long way. And if you're listening, I am truly, truly grateful. I'll just mention what healed in those conversations. So I remember talking to Tifa then, and what really helped was the patience that she had to listen. She allowed me to talk, to pour out my emotions in a series of multiple conversations. And it wasn't to patronize, like it was actually to genuinely understand. And for the first time, like it just felt like someone actually got what it felt like to be me. Like you actually see me, right? In the midst of all of these things. It wasn't like I was perfect because I eventually figured out, oh man, 1, 2, 3, 4, you actually, didn't do this well. But I think the ability to be able to truly be able to trace, because I think sometimes I struggle with empathy to my own self because I always like to be better. So there was just that balance of being able to like, yeah, take it easy on yourself. Like you actually, like being able to just connect dots of like where I am coming from and how those things influence the things that I did, right? And even saw like ugly things that I'd done, and didn't conclude that who I was from those things. I mean, I say ugly sounds very deep, but it's not that deep. But like the fact that you could still hold on to who I am as a person and still see more in me and know who I truly am and not judge the who I am from what I did. Ooh, that really helped. With Charles, I think one of the things I really, really liked was that he really helped dissect it with me. Like, oh, this is what you did wrong. This is what could have happened. And he asked questions, and his questions also made me connect dots too. Like, as he asked questions, it's like, oh, did this happen? And it's like, oh, yeah. And like, it was almost like as if he was there, right? He was able to like ask questions that really like he was present. And that really just helps me be able to like know that everything that he was saying wasn't coming from a place of someone that was just giving me pity thanks or pity comments. Like it was coming from a place of, okay, I get this. Oh, this is what happened. 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 And I think the ability to just process it with someone was really, really healing. And I think the last one was Yaro. And so with Yaro, it was strictly an emotional conversation because he had lived in a similar experience. And I'm not used to having that kind of conversation with you guys, but it was very, like, he could relate on a very personal level. I think even offered the hug, was even like, guy, yo, like, oh, this happened, guy, happened to me. Like, I feel like, like, just the fact that he could, like, see, I'm like, oh, guy, it happened to you too. Like, that really helped. That really healed my heart. And then he just really just encouraged me. Just like, guy, don't take this thing as this. Don't, like, there's still way more to come, etc. I'm even remembering that there was another friend of mine, actually, now that I remember, I think Usaya, who I got to be able to share, like, a lot of, like, in that time, like, because he also kind of had, like, something around that whole season. So, man, like, just these conversations, they really did a number. And I can actually say that if those guys were not there for me at that point, I don't think I'd make it through that season if not for those conversations. Maybe God would have used other people, but I think the conversations as they were, because, like, I genuinely was sinking in, like, my thoughts, my concerns, and everything. I really was. And I think one thing that really stuck out for me, if I could extract things, were the undivided attention, the true comfort that I got, the empathy, the truth, not just flattery, and the understanding from a heart level, like just knowing that people could see me. And would I say the conviction and belief in who I was, even in dicey situations, people that could still tell you that, guy, this is who you are, right? I think that really went a long way. It really did. Yeah. So let this be something that stirs your heart to share with people, and also stirs you to listen. So if you're one of those people who might be on the other end of when someone is sharing something that is deeply personal to them, don't underestimate just how important that conversation is. Don't resort to buzzwords like, yeah, oh, my sheo, take care. No. And don't be perpetually distracted where they share sentences with you and you're checking on IG and whatever. Like, control yourself and just be present in that moment and be a part of someone's healing journey. So to wrap this up, I will kind of wrap up with another person's experience that I think will mean a lot to this episode. So I had the privilege of listening to a friend who shared her story in creating this episode. And, she had shared that she had a bad experience with sexual assault when she was younger by a neighbor, and she carried that burden on her for many years. She kept asking, like, was she the cause? Was it dressing? Was it her ignorance? Blaming herself for not knowing enough, for being stupid at that point because of how things played out. And she shared with someone, and with much tears and emotions, for the first time, she got to experience, like, a release from that burden that she had been carrying. But that was not the end, right? So it was a bit lesser. Like, even though the experience was a bit lesser than it was prior, she, like, a couple of years after, she came into a Sunday service. One day the pastor asked her, if you have any burdens that you feel you need to let go, please raise your hand. So she hesitated, and she, eventually was moved. She raised her hand, and then she did. And as she stood, and the pastor tells other people that they should pray with the people who are currently standing. And someone came, prayed with her, hugged her, and she just began to cry even more. And in that atmosphere, she got to feel like that burden leave her. And, like, it almost felt like physically the pain just left her. And she told me about how, like, it has never been the same since that very day. And as I listened to that story, it just made me realize that these episodes matter. People are going through real things. We look good on social media, at work, in church, but hurts matter. And they need to be talked about. And so from my experience, I crafted this recipe. So share with people who love you. Share with God who loves you through prayer. And share with God's people who love you in God's presence. So what do I mean? Share with people that care about you, people that are willing to listen, people that would actually listen to you the way that the people that I mentioned in this episode listen to me. Share with God because He loves you. And I would even say that many times when you share with Him, He brings people around you that can be expressions of His love to you. And share with people, God's people, in His presence. Like what happened with her, where, because I really do believe that some of these things are very, very spiritual things. Like the weight that we carry, the hurt. Some of these things are deeply spiritual things that need to be addressed from there. And so address it with people, address it with God, right? Let people pray over you. Let people pray over you. For someone that is listening to me now, you actually need people to pray with you. And you don't want to make a stereotypical understanding of what prayer looks like or what prayer can do. I think one thing I really find very encouraging is that amongst the many things that God describes Himself as, He says that He heals the brokenhearted. He binds up their wounds. So your wounds matter to God. It really does. It really does. Yeah. So share. So if I could summarize some things that I had mentioned already from my own experience, just to recap, I would say share with someone who cares, preferably face to face, preferably more than one person or two people, so you can just, take away that bias from it. To people that will say the truth. And don't bias it. Allow them speak without you influencing them. Just tell them the truth as it is. And share until you feel like they get it. And your heart and their hearts. Like you have a transfer or transfusion of your emotions to someone else. And it's like, oh wow, you went through that, sorry. Doesn't mean they would always be on your side. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But just when you know that someone truly does get it. And you have to be patient with people because no one is perfect. So it's possible that they might not be the best at the onset. But if someone has the heart to care for you, be patient enough to be able to teach them the rigors of how to do so practically. And don't just cancel or unplug because they don't get it right the first time. So another thing I think that people tend to get wrong is that they confuse lying with comfort or empathy. So lying is when you skew my ability to say the truth, right? Or to see the truth rather. Or you hinder me from knowing where I'm wrong and prevent me from growing. But when you comfort me, whether I am wrong or right, I know that I always have you. And I know that you will never leave my side. I know that we'll be here together to fix the mess and I'm yours and you're mine. It's like a mess splashes on the floor. So people think comfort is when you say, oh, nothing splashed. It's just so the person can feel good and not feel guilty. Comfort or true empathy is something splashed on the floor and you are the one that splashed it. Let's clean it together. And the person would even go ahead to even assure you that because you splashed on the floor doesn't make you a clumsy or a splashy person. Because you just made one mistake. That's not who you are. Let's fix this thing. And there's a vast difference between that. One of them heals, one of them just keeps on postponing the hurt. Because the more you postpone the hurt, until your inner sense of justice, because everybody has that conscience and that inner clock on your inside, until you know that someone truly gets it and has objectively given you the opportunity to process something, when they patronize you or they flatter you, it doesn't go. It just makes you feel good in the moment. But when that concern rises again, you would always have that thought that did I really? All right. So let's go for true empathy and true love over lying in the name of love. So that brings episode to a wrap. I don't know you and I can't see you. But the truth is that I care about you being a better sibling, a better family member, a better spouse, child, parent, colleague, because I like to look on the culture to see the culture that is better, where people are healthy, people are smiling, even if I don't know you personally. So take this episode with you and let it be a push to truly share and to open up in the places that truly matter. So hurt would always come and would always need this structure to take with us to help us on our journey. And we'll still have more episodes. It's not all that there is. We'll still have 2 more episodes to talk about this in a more complete way. Till we arrive at the entire, picture, but take this one episode as a push in the right direction or a step in the right direction. So I'll end with this. I remember 2 years ago, I had my birthday and I went to Umu Resort. I was the only one in the entire location. It was bliss. I never knew how much I would enjoy a resort by being the only one. So I wanted to go kayaking, and I was unable to enter the kayak because I couldn't start paddling from the land. I needed to be in the water. I couldn't enter the kayak while it was in the water because I would then stain myself, get wet, easy. I also couldn't enter it on land and push my own self to the water. So it was like a dichotomy. So I needed someone to help me out. And so this guy, who's the guy that's managing the entire thing, just comes. He says, enter inside. And he pushes me. And then I can start to paddle. And then I start paddling. And I'm able to have a beautiful time. I think I have a video of it. I had too much fun. And that's why I see these episodes as you might not be able to, just like I was, like, help yourself on either end. But sometimes you just need someone to just give you a push so you can start paddling. And so take this episode as a push in your healing journey so you can start paddling and making progress. So I will say this: the world is better with the healed you. And so don't give up. So with that said, have a great week. Share with someone if you love this. And I actually mean it, because it's hard for me to write this episode, produce it, edit it, promote it, do all these things, work on graphics. I'm the only one that runs all these things, right? I have to deal with a lot of noise and edit them, get noise profiles clean in a way that doesn't make it sound too weird. I've had to learn a lot about audio production, and I've done all of this because I genuinely believe in this call and this important, would I say, mission, or I believe that it's important for us to have these conversations, especially now. So I need you guys to go on this journey with me by using these things and sharing people that you care about. Help me with the promotion end, right? Help me to share, to follow, to review, and tell me your journey as well. So with that said, see you next time at the Harbor. Bye.